Releasing back in 2015, this little gem was developed by a team of about 10 people, which is kind of insane. I've never been a big side-scrolling Metroidvania type gamer, but with the amount of positive buzz around this title, I knew I had to try it eventually, and finally, I have. At first glance, Ori and the Blind Forest looks to be quite a simple platforming side-scrolling Metroidvania, and in a sense, it is. Except each of the aspects in the game come together so well that this game is synergistically exceptional. From the story to the visuals, from the music to the gameplay and level design, everything works so well in harmony to create an exhilarating and unique gaming experience. I often find myself searching for titles with a really strong story-led experience, and as much as I'd hate to say it, I wouldn't rate the story in this game as highly. Now, by no means am I saying the story is bad, in fact, it's quite good, but I think the other aspects of this game simply outshine it. I mean, it's still a unique, emotional, and some would even consider a cozy type of experience. It just sort of has that sweetness or vibe about it. Like, I think what makes this story so interesting is not the story itself, but rather how it's told. As part of the whole package, the art, the graphics, the music, the gameplay, the ambience, and the environment, everything just comes together to deliver a truly memorable and incredible experience. I think the best way to describe Ori and the Blind Forest is unique. The way the story is told makes this game one of the more interesting ones I've played. Most games will use a combination of cinematic cutscenes, written narrative, and spoken dialogue to expand the world. Ori uses very little written narrative, only a few in-game cutscenes, and essentially no spoken dialogue, at least none you can understand. And yet it easily creates a detailed and interesting world that the player can connect with. Through a combination of music, graphics, and gameplay, the developers have built an engaging story experience that few games will be able to deliver today, regardless of budget. Now, when it comes to the visuals, the level of detail the team has been able to squeeze into this game is insane. The environmental storytelling is really impressive, and being able to incorporate that into part of the gameplay means the developers were focused on every detail of this game. I will admit, when I first jumped in, the effects felt like they were too much. Perhaps I was just not used to it, but to me it was just too flashy and like epileptic, and I had a hard time seeing and understanding what was happening. The soft hand-drawn or painted art style for me though is just something to behold. Like the way it's all layered to give you that level of depth and dimension. As you run, jump, dash and traverse through the world, it almost feels like a storybook that's alive as you see the different frames shifting in and out of focus. Each area adding to the environmental storytelling and expanding the world further. I mean, look at this. And this. From eerily moonlit forest groves, to gorgeous crystal clear lake beds, from the dark and shadowy burrows, to the harsh volcanic caverns, or the frozen snow-capped pass. There's a multitude of locations, each with its own visuals and unique mechanics and music to suit. From the animation effects to the background, from the color design to the lighting, both the art style and graphics are so gorgeous and work so well together that the game itself just becomes a living piece of art. Music is such a powerful tool, especially when it comes to video games. It manages to take us instantly back to moments we've experienced ourselves, and Moon Studios knows exactly how to utilize it to get the most out of this game. For example, as soon as you start the game, you're greeted with the main menu, which is gorgeous, and the music almost sounds familiar. Like there's something about it that's just so emotional and reminds me of another time, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Though I did notice this section, which reminded me of the reactor section in Final Fantasy VII. As with the visuals, the music changes as you explore further and delve deeper into the blind forest. Each area has its own unique ambience and soundtrack, but it's not static. The world very much feels alive and changes as you reach certain key points and story moments. Like when things are spooky, you don't just visually see it, you hear it. And when things mellow out, you hear that too. And of course, when things get intense, they get really intense. Now, when it comes to gameplay, something about this game just kept me hanging on. I know this isn't a Souls-like game, but with the cost to save, it definitely gave me pause each time I considered using it, which is a mechanic that I don't see too often. A bit of that risk versus reward type gaming that really had me questioning whether I'd be able to do the next section without failing, and so many times did I fail. Normally, I get tired of games after a while, and some games I need to force myself to play. But Ori had its claws in me like Kuro, that giant owl. I played on normal difficulty, and that gave me enough of a challenge because I'm not very good, but that's okay, because this isn't really my normal type of game anyway. Getting into the meat of this title though was really incredible. Like, it was so exhilarating. It punishes you but also rewards you, and as many times as I failed, I knew it was me that was making mistakes and not the game being unfair. Like this section, for example, is probably my favorite out of the whole game. And man, I took so many attempts. Little tiny mistakes here and there were so common, but each time I felt like I was making progress. And when you get into that flow state, that perfect run, it's freaking beautiful. Each new area you visit is unique in itself, but what adds to it is the new abilities or mechanics the game throws at you. Like, each one felt like a proper challenge to learn, but when you get going, the satisfaction is so gratifying. Similar to most games, it gives you a new power or skill that keeps things fresh and to keep you engaged, but most of the time it doesn't change that much. With Ori, it feels like the upgrades and new mechanics add a layer of depth that drastically changes how you approach each challenge. Like, gaining these abilities unlocks at least a few areas that you weren't able to access earlier. Previously unreachable locations are now easily accessible by charging a jump. Little lights that look decorative are now booster points. Missing a jump and falling now doesn't mean you're doomed. And when you chain it all together, it's just spectacular. The musical anthem, the stunning visual beauty, the striking graphics, and the exhilarating gameplay just impresses me so much. I've mentioned I'm not really a Metroidvania type gamer, but this game makes me want to try more side-scrollers. Look, I love games, and for me, not many have had the same type of impact that this game has had. I mean, I have an idea of the type of genres I like. Side-scrollers generally aren't too high on that list, but after finishing Ori, I actually found myself looking for a similar experience, which I honestly have yet to find. I mean, I generally try to present everything I experience in a game objectively, and I normally try not to blindly convince people to play games because everyone is different and so are the games. Ori though is something I feel everyone should try at least once. If for nothing else, the gameplay alone is worth your time. Everything here works in such synchronicity that you get a truly epic experience. Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition is jaw-droppingly amazing and is definitely worth playing in 2023. If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I'm still looking to upload a brand new video once a fortnight, but be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.